What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. You're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and I have been away for a couple of weeks. So if you've been paying attention, you will have noticed that we had some pre-records going on. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the show. But today we are talking about passion. Isn't it fun? So today's show is called More Passion. Yes, please. And we are going to be talking about how we can create more excitement and bring more passion into our world. So if you're somebody who is sort of, feeling like things have gotten a little bit dull or a little stale or whatever, stick with us. We're going to have some good conversation today. So, on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about the subliminal soundtrack. Now, this is my term, it's my baby. I've heard people call it different things, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more in just a moment when we actually do our spot on what does it really mean? What is a subliminal soundtrack? We'll get there in just a minute. So, have you ever found yourself getting a little bored with your life? Sure, that's never happened to you, right? No, it's never happened to anyone but me. The answer could be more passion. Can you imagine? Is there a part of you, just ask yourself this, is there a part of you that goes, oh, please, yes, more passion in my world? Is there a part of you that's saying that? Yay. That's the excitement space, right? So passion is not just about physical intimacy. I know, a lot of times when we hear people talking about passion, they're talking about sex or intimacy physically between two people or more people or however many people might be involved in this situation. But today we're not going to be talking about that. It is about that thing that gets us all jazzed up and excited. It gets our blood pumping and gives us something to look forward to. That's the kind of passion we're going to talk about today. Physical intimacy and passion in that way is, I mean, who doesn't like that? Who doesn't like that? But it can be a little bit short lived. So let's figure out how we can create passion in other areas of our lives in order to make it a little bit more long lasting, maybe a little bit even more permanent. Hmm. Yes, we're going to consider some really cool stuff today. So, and as we've been doing for the last several months, I'm going to ask you to grab a pen and paper because segment 3 is going to be all about the how to, right? There'll be some very practical tips on how to go about bringing more of that joy, more of that bliss, more of that excitement into your world. So, grab a pen and paper at some point before then and make sure you take some notes. So, what is our subliminal soundtrack? We're going to do this really briefly because I talk about it on every show. But our subliminal soundtrack is this loop of messages that plays in the back of our minds. Over the course of our lives, we have picked up little bits of information from every situation, from every relationship, every conversation, every circumstance we have ever faced. Every lesson we have ever learned has taught us something, these little pieces of information that have then been stored in the back of our mind on our subliminal soundtrack. And we use the subliminal soundtrack to create our belief systems, our values, all kinds of stuff. What do we believe it means to be a good person or a bad person, or to be happy or to be sad? What do we believe those things mean? So it is very, very important for us to get clear on what is happening back there and shift the stuff that is not propelling us toward joy, propelling us toward that passion. We need to shift those thoughts so that we can open ourselves up and bring to us the circumstances and the people that would light us up and make us just all tingly and jazzy and yummy, right? Don't you want that? Don't you want those people in your world that just make you so excited to see them? Yes. Imagine your dog. I don't know if you have a dog, but I do. And Riley is so cute. If you've seen us on Facebook, you'll know who I'm talking about. He's this little beagle guy, and he is so cute because he gets so excited. He doesn't even have to, see a person yet. They can be at the gate. He hears that gate open. He knows somebody's coming. He is jumping up and down like a madman. And I know maybe we don't want to jump up and down like a madman, but man, it's that excitement. It's that like, ooh, who's here? Who's here? Someone's here. Someone's here. I'm so excited to see them. So what if you could approach your life with some of that joyful excitement, like, ooh, what's going to happen today? What's going to happen? Ooh, I've got this new project. What could I create? What if you could incorporate some of that? Might that shift some of that stale and bored stuff? Hmm. So, getting back to the subliminal soundtrack, just for one quick minute, this thing is a thing that we rely on more than we even realize. And it actually affects every single area of our lives. And the really, really interesting part about this is that we will believe things to be true even if they are based on completely incorrect information. If they are playing back here and we don't challenge them and we don't ever get clear on what they are and do the work to shift them around to those messages that will support us and cause us to take good chances and create things for ourselves or create healthy relationships, whatever it is, it affects every part of our lives, our money, our relationships, everything. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the show. And I'm also going to give you some information on where to get more information if this is something that's ringing true for you. So if we believe, how many of you heard this you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And apparently I can't speak terribly well today. Hopefully that'll work itself out. But we can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? So if you believe that to be true, then as you age, as you sort of settle into your life, maybe you're not going to be able to see those opportunities, those people, those circumstances that might create tremendous excitement and joy for you. You may not even recognize them because you don't probably believe that that's something that's realistic as we get to a certain age. Do you see what I'm saying? But if we believe that life is meant to be lived, there's this idea that keeps on running through my head. And Christine is my beautiful producer today. She is brilliant. I don't know if you can actually find it for me, Christine, but there is a quote that talks about how like we're not meant to save up our bodies. We're not meant to be unused up when we get to the end of our lives. We are meant to like slide in holding a glass of wine or hot chocolate or whatever it is that turns your crank, and we're meant to just go like, wow, what a ride. So this stuff never ends. It is never unavailable to us unless we choose to believe that it is unavailable to us. Okay, so that's sort of how this subliminal soundtrack thing works. If you believe one to be true, then you're going to go in that direction, even though the other direction could create something beautiful and wonderful for you. Just saying. So as I mentioned right at the top of the show, I have been sort of in rest mode for the last couple of weeks. I had a procedure done, minor surgery, whatever. And it's interesting because I found myself really challenged with this sitting still. I don't do that terribly well. I get bored and then I want to do stuff that I'm not supposed to do. So knowing that this particular period in my time, I actually pulled out some stuff that I have not been working on for quite some time. There's a course that I registered for eons ago. It's called Advanced Relationship Coach Training. And I decided, okay, well, I can hook my computer up to my TV and I can do the work while I'm allowing my body to rest because it's not an intensive sort of thing. And it was so interesting to me because part of the training is called passion projects. Now, of course, because they are focusing on relationship and mainly on like a marital or romantic relationship and how to help bring the passion back within that type of relationship. But what was really, really interesting to me was because I'm not in that position at this point in my life, I was having to sort of think outside the box on like, could this be a different relationship? What about the relationship with myself? What about my relationship with me? Is there a sort of thing that's missing from my relationship with me? And I don't know about you, but with all of the pandemic, all of the lockdowns, all of the shutdowns, here where we are, we're still in lockdown. It's kind of crazy, but you can't go out and do things. So you can't go to maybe a bar or a class or a whatever things. Like I used to go to dance class and I loved it, but of course we can't do that at this point. So we're going to try to sort of look at what could we bring in even under these circumstances that could light us up and get us into that space. So yeah, this passion project thing has been very interesting because they're approaching, the relationship part. But it really got me thinking about where are we lacking passion in our everyday lives? Are you passionate about your work? Are you passionate about your friendships? Are you passionate about your dog when you see them jumping up and down like a madman? I don't know. Do you have that in your life? Would you like to create more of that in your life? Because what often happens is when we're doing sort of the same old, right? And I hear people say this all the time, oh, I'm living the dream. And you know what they mean. They mean that they are bored. They mean that they're not having a whole lot of fun. It's like, oh, it's just another day, right? And sometimes we get into those sort of patterns or those spaces where it really is. It really is just sort of, ah, yeah, it's just another day. It's not anything terribly exciting, but we can choose something different. And that's where this thing gets so wonderful is we can actually choose something different. So I wanted to just sort of give you an idea of, for me, what I mean about passion. So, what is it? What is passion? And the thing that kind of came to me today was this like excitement and this bubbly and this sort of like joie de vivre, right? This thing where we just it's like, man, I cannot wait to get out of bed this morning because I know that this is the thing. This is the thing that I get to do today. How lucky am I that I get to do this thing today? Like for me with the show. I'm very passionate about this show. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy my producers. I like the process. I like, hearing the feedback that I get from people who have watched the show. So for me, this is one of those passion points in my world. And I like to do all kinds of stuff. We have this, I think this idea sometimes that it's almost, I hate to use the word wrong, but we have these judgments about, oh, look at that, how old is she? And why does she have purple hair? Or why does she think that she should be taking a course? Or why does she think that she should this or he, like, substitute whatever works, right? But we have these judgments. And yet, I don't know about you, but when I see like an elderly couple walking together and they're holding hands and they're excited to be together and they're looking around and they're playful and all of that kind of stuff, or if one smacks the others behind, do you know what I mean? You see these and I'm like, oh man, I hope that when I get to be at that stage in my life, I still have someone to be playful with. I still have someone to enjoy their company, because things shift, our priorities, they shift as we go through different stages in our life, don't they? But is it not also one of those things where you would just like to hope that as you go through these different phases and stages, that there's still going to be playfulness, there's still going to be excitement, there's still going to be purpose, there's still going to be something that's going to light you up and get you going? Wouldn't you like to believe that that's still possible? Because I personally, I kind of think that I'm going to be one of the old ladies in the home that's causing trouble. My friend is down here for a visit for a few days, and her and I were talking about that just the other day. We are going. They better not put us in the same home. They had better not put us in the same home because those poor people that work there are going to be having to be on their toes all the time. We are that kind of people. We're I mean, I suppose there are some people in the world that would probably or call what we do trouble. It's fun. It's fun. And as long as nobody gets hurt, as long as we don't, cross certain lines or harm anybody, including ourselves, then what the hell? What the hell? Enjoy your life, my friend. Enjoy every bit of it. Yes. So we are going to head to our first break here. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. And the next part is sort of some of the other stuff that I've been learning about why this is so important. Why is it so important to have passion in your life? So stick with us. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network, and I'm your host, Jackie Mott. We will be right back in just a minute, and we will continue this conversation about how we can bring more excitement into our lives by creating more passion. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about passion. Yay, passion. So I've mentioned the course, and this is really sort of what this whole show is based on, is these little bits of things, again, little bits of things that get stored, right? These little bits of things that have gotten sort of opened up for me as I've been going through this course, this program. So again, it's an advanced relationship coach training. So I'll be certified to be an advanced relationship coach when I finish the program. There's also like a whole bunch of other stuff that they've thrown in. But my first certification was actually in strategic intervention, and I got that in 2015, I believe. So it's interesting because the course is built on, well, it's built by the same people, and the same group of people have created this particular certification. Um, and so they're bringing in some of the stuff that they taught us 6 years ago now, that I had forgotten. So one of the things is this thing they call the 6 human needs. So I'm not even going to try to list them because I know I'm going to miss some. Who likes to get it wrong? But one of the 6 human needs is variety. So they say that everybody needs these things in order to feel fulfilled, in order to feel happy. We have to have these elements in our lives. We have to have variety. We have to have certainty. We have to have growth. We have to have contribution. We have to have love and connection. And I knew I was going to miss one. So there are 6 things that they say that we need. And the trick is that when something gives us like more than one, so if we get connection and love and growth and a feeling of contribution by doing a certain thing, then we are more likely to do that than we would be if we only got one of those things out of that thing or that relationship or that work or whatever the circumstances might be. So it's very interesting to me because there's like this sort of duality. We need to have variety in our lives. We also need to have certainty in our lives. So these are, again, these are our like basic human needs. Everybody needs these things. So where can we get the variety and still manage to have the certainty? So when we see these people who sort of get into these places where they're again like it's just another day, and are they living from variety or are they living from certainty? Right? People who have jobs with pensions often stay long after they have enjoyed their work because they are working toward a pension. So they are working toward a certainty. They are doing what they're doing in order to achieve that. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we consider how fascinating is it that we need both? We need variety, we need change, we need newness, we need experiences that give us a different space to occupy or give us whatever it is. Like, think about a trip that you've taken where you've gone someplace that was brand new and how exciting it is to plan that trip and get on the plane and go there and explore and see things in a different way that you may have never seen them because where you were is so different from where you are in that moment. It's that thing that like, oh my God, like, is it really all that exciting that they use different spices in their food? I don't know. But if you're there and you're eating it, that's a whole different experience than just sort of the thinking about it, right? So it's that experience, it's that newness. When we start a new relationship, right? If you have a new friend, how often have you had a new friend in your world and you've spent so much time together because it's so much fun and we're trying to get to know each other, and we spend so much time with this one friend. We may have five others that we're completely ignoring, or a romantic relationship. I don't know. I've heard many times that people get irritated when somebody's got a new relationship because they just sort of drop off the face of the earth because they are in that new, passionate, exciting space with this new person where they're exploring and what could we have? What could we do together? What could we do to help each other's lives be more fun or more exciting or more blissful or whatever the case may be? Do you see what I'm saying? So we all have the need for both. Okay. So again, let's just look at the romantic relationship for a second. So we've got the variety of the new relationship and it's all exciting and juicy and yummy. And then over time, we get to know that person, right? We get to know them. We get to know their habits. We get to know the way that they are in certain circumstances. Maybe we get to know some things about them that aren't so exciting for us. Maybe they get to know that about us, whatever the case may be. But at a certain point, it's no longer new. So, what makes it a relationship that will last or will not? Do you see what I'm saying? Like when maybe other people don't get as jazzed about this stuff as I do, but when I start to sort of pull things apart and go, oh, this is so interesting, and things fascinate me because I live in that space of what can I bring into my world that's going to bring me that joy, bring me that bliss. You know, do I want to go out and try something different? Do I want to meet somebody new? I don't know. I don't know what it is for you, but we all have that need for both. So there's got to be a balance. At some point, there needs to, things have to sort of balance out. And if they don't, that's probably a relationship that's not going to go very far. Maybe that person was there and you had such a great time, or you learned something new from them. Like, for me, I've been on my own for a couple of years now, and the dating world has been so interesting because the people that I have connected with, every single one of them has brought a different flavor into my world, has shown me a different thing, a different activity that I never knew I would enjoy. One of my friends, and we've stayed friends, it didn't work out the other way, but he and I used to go out into the woods and we would search for waterfalls and take pictures, and it was something I'd never done before and I enjoyed it so much. So it might be that this person was only meant to be part of your life for a period of time in order to open you up to a new possibility. Or maybe it's somebody that's going to be around for a long time. And that's, I think, one of those things with the variety in a new friendship or a new relationship. That's one of the exciting things, is because we don't know yet. We don't know yet how this person fits into our world, or how this new job or this new position or whatever it is, because it's universal. It doesn't have to be about relationships. It doesn't have to be about anything in particular. You take this information and put it into your world where it fits. That's the thing. That's the thing. I have no judgments. I have no agenda. I just come on here because I enjoy doing it. And, people seem to respond sometimes to the wacky and weird things that I say. So why not? Why not? So, yes, one of the things with this challenge is that we need to sort of get our head around, what could I bring into my world? What could I bring into my world that would make this fun? And it could be even into your job life. Like, for example, think about this. Okay, you've worked the same job for a number of years, and it's gotten kind of routine, and there's not a whole lot of excitement to it anymore. But what could you do differently? What could you do differently within that role? Is there something that you could bring in? Could you incorporate something silly and fun, like Fridays at 3 o'clock, we all get together and laugh for 5 minutes together, or um, uh, hmm, anything that your heart desires, really, as long as it works within the context. Anything that your heart desires. Talk to your coworkers, see what they might like a little bit better. Maybe on Fridays we all go out for lunch together, or we order pizza or Chinese or whatever food tickles everybody's fancy, and we sit around together and we talk about the week, and not in a heavy sort of planning kind of way. We just talk about our lives together. That can be a lot of fun, right? That can be an awful lot of fun. So think about the ways that you can sort of bring that dynamic into whatever you're working with. Whatever you're working with, because I mean, if you're working toward a pension and that's important to you, then you're probably not going to be well served by job hopping all over the place, right? So finding a new position, although it gives you that variety, it gives you that excitement, it gives you that newness, that is not necessarily something that's going to serve you very well if you're concerned about your retirement, for example. Okay. Oh, Christine's asked a question. What does variety do for our physical health? Well, you know, this can change a whole lot of stuff. So I'm gonna ask you to just perceive something for just a moment. Just perceive that energy of that, like, joyful, bubbly space, that laughter, that fun, that excitement. Perceive how that feels in your body. Okay. Perceive how that feels in your body. I will tell you that I did a laughter yoga training years ago. And I was fascinated because in that particular class, they had so much information, scientific studies and things like that, where they had actually like taken the information and qualified it and quantified it and done all of that sort of stuff. And most of the classes that I've done, there hasn't been all of this scientific stuff, but I've been a laugher most of my life, and I know that it's contagious, and I know that it makes my body feel nicer. One of the things that's really fascinating about laughter is that it releases the endorphins and the whatever hormones and who knows what into your body that actually help with pain control. It releases things into your body that can help to fight infections and fight the pain and like whatever it is. Okay, it can fight off cancer in some cases. They have studies that have shown that incorporating more laughter into people's lives has actually healed them. So think about that when we're talking about what does it do for your physical health. It lowers your blood pressure. When you're excited and you're jazzed and you're feeling good about stuff, your blood pressure is going to be well, maybe that's not right, but it's going to be in a good way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you're excited and your heart's beating because you're happy, as opposed to I'm sitting still and my heart's beating way too fast because my blood, or whatever it is. I don't even know what blood pressure is. But think about that. Think about how your body feels. Think about it, how it feels when you are out doing exciting stuff, right? It can help with all kinds of different ailments, but maybe even more importantly, it feels good. It feels good. And when you feel good, don't you show up differently in your world? Hmm. When you're in pain, when things are off kilter, when you are not feeling well, you will show up completely differently. Even if you've got somebody who, and I've done exercises like this before. I had a client who had cancer, and she came in for one meeting. We were having a group session, and she was talking. She was in pain that day, a lot of pain that day, and it was hard for her to even be there. But when we were going through the exercises, I took her through sort of a little bit of an exercise meditation sort of thing just for her. And the shift that took place inside less than 5 minutes in her body, the pain was more manageable. The the feelings were more manageable. Even when you're not feeling well, you can still take these steps. Even if you're fighting a disease or something like that, you can still incorporate these things. Because one of the other things that I would hazard a guess at, and I am not by any means a scientist, but I will tell you that I've had questions about these people who retire from work and then die. People need to feel something. We need to feel excited. We need to feel purposeful. We need to have those things in our world. So sometimes those changes that take us into a space where it's like, oh, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? I think that people sort of make a choice. It's not fun to be here anymore. So what's the point? Hmm. Yes, yes. And on that note, I'm going to take us to our next break. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about passion, and we are going into the third segment. So if you have not already, go grab yourself a pen and paper, and I'm going to give you some steps on how you can go about finding or creating more passion in your world. Stick with us. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to our third segment of Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and I am so glad to have you with me today. So I'm just going to take a moment right now to talk and tell you about some of the new exciting stuff that's coming up in my world. So first and foremost, you can find us on Facebook. I haven't been on there very much in the last couple of weeks, but I will be back on there very shortly. One of the new things that has come to me just in the last couple of months, and I'm going to tell you this really fits well into what we're talking about today, because this is one of the things that gives me passion is this like, how can I help people? What could I put together? Is there a program that I could create? What would it look like? How and this happens to me all the time. One of my friends laughed at me not very long ago. She's like, "Where do you come up with all these ideas?" I don't know. It's fun for me. So the newest one is going to be all about starting over. So it's going to be geared toward women midlife. I fully intend to be doing retreats in a beautiful location after we can travel. After we can travel. So I've come up with this idea of 5 stages of starting over. So there is a new program in the works, and I will be giving you more information as that sort of rolls out. But it's very exciting. It's talking about. It's actually sort of a 12-step program. It was so funny how this worked out because it was 5 stages, but inside each of the stage there were steps. And when I realized at the end was it's like 12 steps, I'm like, oh my God, that's I don't even know what to do with that. But anyway, so it's exciting, it's wonderful, and there will be more information coming out about that in the near future. If you find yourself in a position where you are struggling, you would like more passion, or you're going through a transition, or you just don't quite know what to do, you are welcome to contact me by going to www.bookacallwithjackie.com and take advantage of a free call with me. We have a 15-minute discovery call, no charge, and we can discuss what's going on in your world. I'd be in touch with you before we actually get on the phone so that we have a bit of a guide on what we need to talk about it during that time together. But it's amazing how we can, drill down on one thing, and shifting that one thing can actually make a huge difference for somebody in a very, very short period of time. So again, that's www.bookacallwithjackie.com. Go there and just follow the steps. It's not that hard to do. Book a call with me and we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation about whatever it is that's going on in your world. All right. So now getting back to our show, if you have not already, you want to grab that pen and paper because here we go. So we have five, or I have created 5 steps for you in what do we do? What do we do when we feel bored? Life's gotten kind of stale and we don't really know what to do, and we need some more passion in our lives. Here's what you do. So step one, call this dig in. So think about a time in your life when you were really excited about something. Was it something that you were doing? Was it something you were planning? What was it? What was it in your world that was giving you this like, woo-hoo? For me, often it's about my work and about creating new programs and creating new ideas. Very often that's what does it for me. But there's all kinds of other stuff that does it for me. So think about what you were doing when you were in this position where you were like, oh, I'm so lucky I get to do this today. Oh my God, I get to do something, or I'm going to see somebody, or whatever it is that like, ooh, juicy, yummy, jazzed up kind of energy. Think about that. And I mean, I think everybody's got at least a couple of those, but think about what you were doing when that happened. Sometimes it's what we did when we were young, because we get so wrapped up in our adult responsibilities, sometimes the relationships and the family and the home and the all of the job stuff. We get really wrapped up in all of that sometimes. And sometimes we need to go back to what was it before I became this responsible adult person? What was it before that I really enjoyed doing? Did you play music? Did you do some sort of painting or artwork? Um did you do like play a sport? What were you doing? What was it that gave you that sense of, oh, this is yummy, I'm excited about this? All right. So, our next thing is to ask yourself, what was it that you were doing that brought you that excitement? What was it about the thing that you were doing? Okay. So, step two, ask yourself, what was it that you were doing that brought you that excitement? So, you want to be very specific. So one of the things that popped into my head this morning as I was thinking about this is like sometimes when we're going through these different stages of our lives, right? Like maybe it was when you were planning your wedding or preparing for a new child. Maybe it was when you were in school and you were studying something and learning something and your mind was doing that like, oh, this is interesting. And so you've got that sort of engagement from that part of your mind that's only really engaged when you are learning something new. What is it specifically about whatever was going on in your world when you felt that passion for your life? Were you traveling? Were you going to a specific place that you really, really love? What was it? So think about that and be very, very specific. Was it the process? Was it something that you were looking forward to? Am I looking forward to the arrival of this new baby? Am I looking forward to the honeymoon if I'm planning a wedding? Am I looking forward? What was it specifically about that thing that you were doing that caused you to have that joyful, exciting, jazzed up energy? Okay. Third step, ask yourself this: is it something you can do now? Is this something you can do now? So for those examples of we're preparing for a new baby, we're planning a wedding, you're probably not. I mean, there might be some people out there that are doing this stuff all the time, but I don't imagine that you're going to get to plan more than a couple of weddings for yourself anyway in your life. Maybe I have no judgment. Do what works for you. But the point is that maybe we can't do that every year. But what if you could help others plan their weddings? Or what if you became a wedding planner? You see, there are still ideas around. So what could you do, even if it is not something that you can do for yourself at this stage in your world? What could you do for someone else? What could you do? So yeah, our fourth step, we're going through them quickly today. Ask yourself, what could I add to my life that would bring me that same excitement, passion, and joy? What could I add to my life that would bring me that same excitement, passion, and joy? Could you take a class or a course? I've already said I'm taking this course right now and I'm excited about the stuff that I'm learning. I'm excited about incorporating that into my world and into my practice and into my own relationships. I'm excited about that. So, could you take a class or a course? Could you go back to school and become a completely different thing? Find a completely different career. Could you do that? Could you start a business? Could you join a group? Could you start a new activity? Could you volunteer somewhere? There are so many options for what we can do in our world. Some of them are a bit limited right now, but let's just forget about all of that and look to the future. Let's look forward to when things open back up and we can do all of these things, all right? The last one is probably the most important, because if we don't do the last step, nothing happens. Take action. Step number 5 is simply take action. So go explore what's available at the college or online or whatever. If you think that maybe taking a new class might be helpful to you, go explore what's available out there and pay attention to how your body feels as you're reading about it. Maybe you could become a massage therapist. Maybe you could become a Reiki practitioner. You could become a teacher. You could become a radio host. You could do whatever you want to do, my friends. This is the thing. The only limitations that we have are the ones that we put on ourselves. There are so many things that are available for us, regardless of our health, regardless of our finances, regardless of anything. There are so many ways to make things possible. Like that's the juicy part of this is the possibilities, the being in a space of what is possible. What could I create? Christine goes, yes, join us. Because she's also a man. It is just, I don't have words. I don't have words for how grateful I am that this opportunity has come into my life or many others. I don't have words because they have changed so many things. And it's amazing. We get to this point in life where we can kind of go, oh, okay, so that happened, which connected to that and there. And we get to this point where we can start to look back and see how things have connected. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful because, you know, I don't believe so much in regret because, in my humble opinion, if every one of those steps hadn't happened, even if they were painful, even if they felt impossible to overcome, every one of those steps was necessary to get me to right here, right now with you. And I'm happy being right here, right now with you. So, how can I regret what brought me here? Do you see what I'm saying? All right. So we are down to the wire. I've only got a few more minutes with you, my friends. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive. We're going to head to our next break. Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we are going to wrap up this conversation about bringing more passion into your world. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Chat. I almost made it through the show without more slips. Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. And today we are talking about passion and how to make more of it in your world. So I'm going to share with you just really quickly. This is one of the things that actually I get really passionate about is this creation and where my business really started. I think we were calling it Phoenix Coaching at the time. Where it really started was this program that I came up with called Creating Your Life on Purpose. And this is like, it sort of all fits together because it's that we need to be purposeful about our thoughts. We need to be purposeful about what we're doing, about what we're choosing, about what we're bringing into our world. People, circumstances, jobs, money, everything. We need to be purposeful. So getting into this creative, juicy space of like, what would I like? What would make me happy? What would bring me that passion? Right? Get me on fire for whatever it is that the next phase of my life is. What would it? Do you see what I'm saying? What would it take? And what could I do? And that for me is like that creative space is so, it's just so, Jesus, generative. It's like bubbly, generating all of this kind of stuff. And so that's what I really love to do with my clients. It's what I love to do because it's so interesting how when we're in the circumstance, it's hard to see sometimes clearly. But when we're standing outside, so this is where a coach comes in handy. When we're standing outside and we're looking at the circumstances or somebody sharing with us what their challenges are or what they're trying to figure out. When you're standing outside of it, you can actually look in and go, okay, but what if you just turn that a little bit? It doesn't always even have to be big changes. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. And I'm so blessed because I get to do this work and I get to come on here and talk with you on Friday afternoons. I love this stuff. So now we're going to wrap it up. The things when we're going into this space of like, I need something, something is missing. Something is missing from my life. What is it that's missing? Okay. We need to get into a space where we're opening up to the possibilities as opposed to being in a space of judgment where nothing can really change. We need to get into that space of possibility. What else could I bring into my world? What would make me happy? Do you see what I'm saying? Again, it's that juicy like, ooh, what else? What else? So when we get into that space though where things are sort of bored or maybe a bit stale, consider what you could add to your life that might bring you some more excitement or joy. Okay. And try to stay open. Try to stay open and pay attention. You have to pay attention to feel it. I've talked about this all the time on the show. I get these things. It's like this energetic pull toward a thing or a person or whatever it is. It's like this pull to go in that direction. And I don't really understand it, but I almost always trust it. Almost always trust it. So follow that. What is your energy telling you when you hear about this course as opposed to this course? Which one gets you more excited? Which one feels like, ooh, that sounds like fun? Think about that. When we're looking at different people in our lives, sometimes that's a thing too. Like, which one would be more fun? Do you see what I'm saying? We can use these yardsticks all through our lives. So when you're making these kinds of choices, pay attention to your body, pay attention to your energy, pay attention to what your spirit is saying. And if it feels good and it doesn't compromise your values, go for it. Go for it, my friend. All right, so that brings us right down to the wire here. You have joined me again. I am so glad. I'm just in this space of such tremendous gratitude for you, for your time, for the opportunity to come on here and speak with you. A quote that I would like to leave you with today is we all need variety and growth in our lives. When things get stale, you just need to get curious. Get curious. Ask what you could bring into your life that would bring you joy and excitement. And as long as it doesn't compromise your values, go for it. Mm. All right, my friends. Remember, if you find yourself or if you know somebody who's going through a transition or needing a little bit of support, go to www.bookacallwithjackie.com. Book a time with me to get on the phone. We'll talk about whatever's going on, and I might have some options that could help you with whatever it is that you're working through. So go and book that call, and we will have a little bit of time together to talk about whatever it is that you are working through. We will be back next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain Time, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Your Most Important Relationship, and we'll be talking about your relationship with yourself. We don't often think about that when we're making our priority lists. We don't often think about that one that is so vital to our happiness and to our life. So join me next Friday and we'll be talking about that beautiful relationship with yourself or how to create more in that area if you're struggling. So thank you so very much for joining me today again on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. I am so grateful for your time. I am so grateful for the opportunity. And I sincerely hope that something that I've shared with you today has helped you to shift your perspective. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.